All right, what's happening, everyone? Welcome back for another episode of the Chamber Podcast. My name is Rob Johnson. We have another great show for you today. Joining me in studio is Nick and Christine. They're the owners of Wave Enterprises. Nick, Christine, welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Morning, guys. And I will say, easily in the 130 episodes I've done on this show, best dressed.
Oh, well, thanks.
So you guys won that award. Yeah, so if you're on Apple and Spotify, pop over to YouTube. You can see exactly what I'm talking about. Coordination all day.
Yes, that's right.
Looks great. So,
thank you.
Christine, I'll start with you. So tell me just a little bit about, give me a 60-second elevator pitch. I meet you at a networking event. You tell me you work with Wave Enterprises, one of the owners. What does that look like? What's the elevator pitch that you give?
Hi, I'm Christine. I'm from Wave Enterprises, and I'm a transportation service provider for FedEx. And what that means is that I own semi-trucks, and I lease them to FedEx, and I have dedicated runs, and we take your stuff where it needs to go. Yeah.
Great. And then, so Nick, popping over to you, walk me through a little bit about how this all came to be.
So Christine was teaching for 25 years, 30 years, something like that combined, and just kind of getting worn out. Things have changed, obviously, especially with teaching. And so it was just time to kind of get out of that. But, we're still young, so there's no reason to just sit around and be retired. So Christine knew another teacher who her husband did FedEx contracting. And so we started looking to it on YouTube and just did a bunch of research and found out the dedicated line haul was what worked best for us. And Christine used some bank stock money that she had accumulated to get into the business.
Yeah. Bought an existing company. We shopped for it almost like buying a house, and it was a good fit, the price point, and they were dedicated lines, and they were 4 hours from my house down in Kentucky. So we went down and met the owner, and I wanted to find out what her day-to-day was, to find out, am I getting in over my head, having no business experience of running up anything by myself or, So we went down and met Judy, and we sat and talked with her and her husband at her kitchen table, and we left the house, and I turned to Nick. I said, if Judy can do this, I can do this for sure.
Yeah.
So
did it give you pause saying like, okay, this person's selling this business. Why are they selling it? Did that give you pause at all?
Well, her case, yeah, it was interesting reading different routes for sale. Most of the time people were saying, changing business and or retiring. So just very vague. And when I asked to meet Judy, the owner, found out that her husband's health was failing, and they just wanted to be done with the business and finish building their little house and go live on their acreage.
Got it.
So, and then meeting them in person, which was something the broker was like, nobody's ever asked me if they can meet the other owner and stuff. But I was really adamant about wanting to speak to the previous owner to find out, all about the business and, make sure that it was something that I could do.
And dealing with a broker, it's best if you can just meet with the people. I mean, nothing against brokers, but
is it just because it's in their best interest to sell it?
Yeah.
So, they're going to say, maybe they're going to say whatever.
Well, you just don't know, and you don't have enough time to get to know the broker and trust them and everything. So, when we met with them, it was great. And actually, it's a little bit sad. I mean, his health was failing, and actually the day the paperwork was signed, he passed away, that evening.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so that was really why they were selling. He was failing.
I see.
Yeah.
So going back to even before you made the decision to go into the transportation route, but so you obviously had a ton of opportunities from an entrepreneurial perspective on what you could have done. What was the thought process and vetting process like to get into this particular industry? Because as a teacher, I'm sure there's, hundreds of other professions you could have considered. So why land on this one?
Yes. Trucking. Yeah. Interesting.
It is. It's such an interesting transition. To me.
Well, like Nick said, I had a student, and her mom was also worked in the building. And so he owned these FedEx routes. And so I was always just, I don't know, it was in the back of my mind that, they did this. They look like a successful family. What's that all about? So then I started Googling it and, found stuff on YouTube. And like Nick said, we spent a whole summer just out back watching YouTube video after YouTube video of wonderful people in the space who put out information for people like me looking into it. And, we learned so much about it, and it was so different, but yet so accessible, I think that.
Yeah. And especially the dedicated line haul routes, it's pretty hands off. It is a lot of managing people versus the package and pickup and delivery, going to your house, stuff like that. So we didn't want to get into all that liability or anything like that. We wanted something that was somewhat hands off. Mm-hmm. And just landed on.
Yeah, and so then the more we found out about it, and it was like, wow, we could really do this from home. Even we can be remote owners, meaning, our trucks are in one region and we're in another. There was room for growth in it. And so, I don't know, it just felt right. I like to go a lot on how I'm feeling inside. And part of the reason why the company is called Wave Enterprises is Nick and I, when we met, we just said, let's just see where this wave goes, and we'll just ride it as long as it's, good. And so that's how we had our relationship. And then we're like, well, let's see how this business goes. And so that's why we called it Wave Enterprises. So far it's been a great ride. It still is.
It's easier and more fun, we think, to ride the wave instead of trying to create a wave. It's just like less work and more fun. So that's kind of how we got to it.
So you guys have been in it almost 2 years now?
Yeah,
is that right?
November.
So what's the biggest learning takeaway that you've had in the 2 years of jumping into something completely brand new?
Patience. Even beyond what I think I have amazing patience, and just being able to, when you get into this all the transitions, new employees, just everything, and issues or problems when they arise, it's just like maintaining cool and collected, just relax and,
And I've learned a lot from him with that. Just in our relationship of like, I tend to be like kind of panic at first, or like, all right, see a problem. And so then he's just calm and just wait it out and just see how things are going to go. And it always turns out better than what I had expected it. So I'm trying to transition my brain of thinking positive first, as opposed to always going to problematic or negative. And so Nick's been a great help with that. And we're even seeing that flow through our employees now, that, if you have a blowout on the side of the road, okay, let's just, getting the call. What do I do? Even though you have procedures there, when you're in that, it's the weekend, you want to get back home, and now you got to wait for someone to come rescue the truck. It's like, all right, let's maintain some calm here. And so then, just talking them through things over the phone sometimes.
And if you just think about it, it's like, what should I do in this situation? No one's going to suggest panicking ever.
Right.
It's like, okay, all right, panic, freak out, and, lose your mind for a couple. No, it's not worth it, so.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Yeah.
And then as you guys have, gotten through these first couple of years, what's one thing that you didn't expect as you were going through the company?
I didn't expect all the support from other contractors. So we went to a conference for the first time. It's called Linehaul Summit. And we went there and met all the people that we had been watching on YouTube in person. And we were like awestruck and starstruck, of these people. And, so we, approached, and people approached us, I think, as well, because we had these coordinating matching outfits too. So that kind of became our thing. And so then when we met all of our, what we saw as our YouTube mentors in person, and then they were so welcoming and so supportive. Now that, we have everybody in contact center phone that, question or just anything that might come up, we have so many people to reach out to. And so this community has been super supportive, and I think that was the biggest surprise for me.
There's not a lot of contractors that are competitive. I think maybe in the unassigned or pickup and delivery, maybe. But where we're at, everyone's trying to help each other. Here, this is what I do. This is what I've done. This works. I tried that. It didn't work. And just really, really beneficial.
Collective success. I
yeah.
think.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And then I was curious, what brought you to the Brighton Chamber?
Well, I know Nick had done some work with the city, volunteer work and things, helped build the Dreamscape. Is that what it's called?
No, what's by the mill pond?
Oh,
Fun fact. Imagination
Station. Yep.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Just things like that, and then work construction in the area, and we live in Brighton.
Yeah, and we love Brighton. You know, watching the downtown transform.
Mm-hmm.
I was attracted to come here to live here. You know, the nature areas that are outside. So like you have like city living, but then you have so much nature around you. And so we really want to see Brighton do well and, you know, continue with growth. And so we want to support Brighton as a company here. So we just recently joined the chamber and then started to go to some different social events. And it's great to understand and know who your, you know, other business owners are in the community and how we can all come together to support different efforts as well.
I love it. And do you guys have a particular ask from the listeners or way they can engage or be a part of your business or follow online, anything like that?
Yeah, buy Chewy dog food.
FedEx, big customer of FedEx is Chewy, and the semi trucks is the heavy stuff.
Yeah, just, you know, everybody that, you know, purchases anything, you know, we bring, I think Wayfarer is one of our customers too. See, we don't always know what's in our trailers. You know, of what's being pulled because we just drop and hook, you know, bring trailer to, from one hub to another or such.
I have an ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just be courteous of semi-truck drivers. Like more, even if you think you're already courteous, there's so many things that we've learned from our cameras in our trucks. Cutting drivers off. A lot of trucks now have adaptive cruise control. And if you cut in front of them more than 7 car lengths, it'll apply braking. We have 80,000 pounds in the trailer. And it's like, you can't brake like that. You can't maneuver like that. They're big, heavy trucks with professional drivers in them. And it's just, we see it all the time. We've changed our driving habits to try to accommodate. Not everybody's got cameras and all that, but it's just... be a little bit more courteous on the roadway for the semi-truck drivers.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely. Yeah, you don't really know. So my dad did not over the road, but did local hauling for CDLA. Mm-hmm. And in that was a huge learning experience for me as well, because he told me the same thing. It's like, this is, you know, so if they're trying to get over, I always sit back, flash the brights, let them get in the pocket, you know, don't try and rush up on them. That's all super important things. And you don't really think about that in the moment unless you're told. So I think that's a great ask.
Just a reminder.
Yeah. And I want to take it one step further too, because when those cameras are triggered, that driver then has to be coached by their management. And even though that trigger might not have been the fault of him, he still has to go through almost, you know, a coaching session about his driving skills. So, you know, think about yourself, whatever your job is of, you know, if something, I don't know, you took the wrong paper off the copy machine. That used to happen a lot in my other career. You know, think if you had to be called into the office and reprimanded for that action every time, which is just a mistake or, you know, not your direct fault. That's what happens to a driver as well. Yeah. So, you know, safe roads for everybody.
Absolutely. All good things to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I certainly appreciate you both stopping in today and being in the studio, and I love learning more about your business.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to talk about before we close today?
I'd like to mention one thing.
Sure.
We just sponsored Ruck to Live. That's going on this weekend to support veterans through Veterans Connected. And Nick's a veteran, so we're going to go out and walk on Saturday and you know, look forward. That's another thing about Brighton, I think, is that strong support for veterans. So we appreciate people coming out and supporting those events as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Nick, thank you for your service. Certainly appreciate it. And both of you, thank you for coming in. Again, love the outfits by
thank
far. You know, number one, it's going to be hard to unseat you guys in the best dress category.
Yes.
So, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much.
You're
awesome.
welcome.
Thanks.
Pleasure.
All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up this week's edition of the Chamber Podcast. I certainly appreciate you watching. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit subscribe and follow along for all updates from the Chamber. If you're on Apple or Spotify, drop us a review and let us know how we're doing. Apart from that, we'll catch you next week. Take care.